Okay, I just slacked out the wireframes and grayscales, and we're actually going to continue on with what we built with yesterday. So yesterday we built out the authentication, and essentially what the authentication is to allow users to sign up and be able to log in. And then as they are logged in, they are only having access to their own information. So for example, for today, we're going to go ahead and create a cat cafe. With the cat cafe, we'll be adding a bunch of cats. And then we'll go ahead and do full CRUD actions for each of the models here, as well as a notes one, and then another extra features of seeing just random cats that we have. So we'll go ahead and do that as well on top of that. So that's what we'll be working on for the next few days. And that's what we are going to continue off of. Because each of the cats that we have is going to be connected to a particular user. And we'll go ahead and see how it looks like after we are done with devise, what it looks like for every single model afterwards. So it does do a little similar pattern with what we have. Be sure that you're on the grayscale ones, because that is the one that kind of maps out most of the functionality. Later on, when we're done with all of the functionality, we will then move on to wireframes, which is kind of where all of the styling is. And again, don't worry about styles yet until you're completely done with functionality. And then how it'll look like on mobile. And we'll go ahead and talk about mobile responsiveness as well. So that's what we are going to be doing. We'll come back to style some of the stuff that we have already. Like, for example, we have the login and the nav bar and everything, but they're not styled yet. So we'll style that a little bit later. And then we'll come back to that. The main thing is this level right here of cats. And then this is what we are going to be doing for cats. And it's going to have a lot of modals. Here we have one modal for the create, one modal for the show. And then the update cat is actually on a different page. So that's what we are going to do, is that the form for update is going to be on a separate page after we hit this button right here, update or edit. So that is the first level. The second level after that would be notes. And then that one will all be with a bunch of modals as well. And then this new feature of random cats, but we'll tackle that towards the end there. Okay, so first things first is for us to go ahead and generate this model. And let's see what this has. So it looks like it has a cat has a name, a registry of where they are registered to, a breed, and a avatar of what they would look like. Most importantly, we also have it belong to a user, which is already taken care of with devise and authentication. So that's what we'll have for the cat. So let's go ahead and create that, and then we'll go ahead and work on our other stuff as well. So it'll be bundle exec rails G model. In this case, we are generating a cat singular because models are singular, controllers are plural. Name looks like it is, I think they're all strings. Yeah. Looks like everything is a string. We'll also have breed, registry, avatar, and then a user colon belongs to. Because again, even though that this is technically a different level, because of the association, the user is the parent, and then the child is the cat. So that's how we are going to write some of the stuff, is because of that relationship. So that's why it's user belongs to here, to establish that relationship in the database. I think I spelled avatar wrong. There's only one T, not two. And let's double check that inside of the migrations. Name, breed, registry, avatar, and then foreign key true. Yeah, that looks good. Okie dokie. So then let's go ahead and migrate this. Bundle exec rails db migrate. So that way it'll apply those sets of instructions to the database. And then we also need to establish the relationships in the models. So cats is already done, belongs to user. But user here, we'll do it right under this. It will do has many cats. And then we'll also do dependent. Oh, shoot, that looks weird. There we go. Dependent destroy. So that's what we would need here in the user's model, is to do the has many relationship here. So let me go ahead and select that out. And then cats, that looks good. We can add a little bit more validations. Let's just do validates the name, breed, registry, avatar, and presence to be true. So that means that they have to fill that out of all those fields in order for it to update or to create in the database. So here is the cat model here. So that part should be all good to go. Next thing that we are going to be doing is going to be the controller. So let's go ahead and create our controller, and we'll start to fill out the controller. And this is where the pattern is slightly different. And I'll kind of show you why, because of the relationship and what devise is doing for us. So I'll kind of show you that here. So let's go ahead and generate our controller, a bundle exec rails G controller here. And this would be our API cats. And it is cats plural because models are singular, controllers are plural. And let's also generate our actions as well. It'll be index, the show action, create, update, and destroy. And we'll also skip routes because we are going to be doing our own routes here. Speaking of routes, let's go ahead and do those first. Those should be relatively quick. So that one will be inside of the config routes. And here, because of the relationship, we don't need to keep track of the user's ID because devise actually keeps track of that for us. So we can actually grab that user's information anywhere within our application. So we don't need to embed our routes within the user to grab the user's ID. So for the routes, we can actually just go ahead and just do the namespace : API, do end. And all we need to do is just resources cats, because the level under the user, even though that there is a relationship, we don't need to embed the routes. That's one of the things that we need to do. But then every level after that, we would need it if there is that type of relationship. So here is the routes. And then inside of the controller, let's start to fill out the cats controller here. So when we go ahead and do render JSON cat.all, so we want to know what this does again, what cat.all does. Any guesses? It's kind of self-explanatory.
Get all the information of the cat.
Yeah. So essentially what cat.all does is that it'll go into your database and it'll grab all of the cats that is stored within the database. And if that's your intention, then just leave it as is. But what if, let's just say that this is just a separate project. We're building a banking application. And we are going to go ahead and keep track of the users and then users' accounts. So what does that mean in this case then, if I go ahead and render JSON account.all? That would also do a similar thing, right? That will go ahead and go through your database and show you all of the account information. So that is the similar thing of if you were to go ahead and go to a bank and all of a sudden they gave you all of your account information, all your neighbors, as well as other people within the class, all of their account information as well. That isn't the thing that we want. We don't want to return all in this particular case. What we want to do is that usually at a bank, you only need to see your own account. You don't get to see anyone else's. It's just your own account because you're the one that has access to that particular thing. So if that is the case, device actually gives us a variable called current user, which is the current user that is using the app or the one that is currently logged in. And that will go ahead and grab all their information, and it will only grab, in this example, all of their accounts. So this will go ahead and grab all of the accounts for the user that's logged in. So this is more of like how a bank should work, right? So this will go ahead and only after you verify your information of your ID, maybe even your credit card, then you can only see your own savings and your own checkings. You don't get to see anyone else's but your own information. So that's kind of like what we need to do here is that instead of doing all of the cats, I only want to see the cats that belong to this particular user. So that's why it is current user.cats here, because I only want to see the one that is logged in.cats. So that is a slight change. And we need to do that for all of them. And the parent in this case is current user. The child is going to be cats there. So following that pattern, it'll be cat equal to current.user.cats. .find params ID, and then we'll just render JSON cats at cat, and that will return a cat for that current user. And then we'll do a similar thing here of at cat equal current user dot cats dot new, and then this will go ahead and be with the cat params. And then we'll define that after we write everything else. And then with if at cat dot saves, then we'll just render JSON the cat. If not, then we are going to render JSON errors. And then it'll be at cat.errors. And it'll be status of unprocessable entity, which I am going to copy from the notes here. Okay, let's define what cat params is. No pun intended. So this would be private, and this would be def cat params. And then this would be params.require. The object is called cat. And we are going to permit everything that a cat has is a name, also has a breed, registry, and avatar. Sweet. So that should be good. And then we'll do at cat here equals current user dot cats dot find with the params ID. And then I am going to do a if at cat dot updates with the cat params. Then we'll run the same logic here of return it, if not return an error. Lastly, I am going to do at cat equals current user dot cat params, a cat dot find params ID again, and we'll clean this up in a sec. And then it would be at cat dot destroy, and then we can also render JSON. Okay. Both of these spellings look right, but it is this one. Render JSON the message here of I don't know, cat release. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, But yeah, that is how we are going to fill out our controller. One level down from the user is that inside of the controller, it will be current user, which is the parent, and then the child, like so. Let's go ahead and clean this up a bit because we are repeating ourselves in the update show and destroy. So let's go ahead and do a before action here of our set cat. And then this will also need to be our individual one of only the show, update, and destroy. And then we can take this here, and that's what we'll have for the set cat here. So def set cat, and then we'll do this. And then we can delete that here in the destroy, in the update, as well as in the show. So that would be a lot more cleaner for our controller. So that's what we'll do for our controller. So again, slightly different than what we are working with, but still the exact same pattern. It's just that it will be current user. And we also don't need to pass in the before action of set user because current user already has all that information. So we don't need to pass in any IDs or anything here. So here is the controller. And then what we are actually going to do next is to kind of create some fake data for us that we are going to be using. So that will go ahead and help us out a little bit more in the front end. So that would be inside of your DB schema. This is what you would need to do, but do this after you create your models as well as your controllers. So this should be after you do both of those steps, or else if you go ahead and do this file and then try to run it and you don't have your controllers or models fully up and running, then it might give you some errors where it doesn't know what it is that you're trying to do or what it is you're talking about. So with the seeds, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to, first things first, if there is any cats, I am going to delete them. So it'll be delete all, as well as the user as well. Yeah, we'll do that as well. So this will also delete all of the users' information that are logged in and created. So then what I am going to do is that I'll have an iterator. I'll call it I, and I will be 1. And I'll show you what I need to do with that in a sec. And then I'll do a 5 times do loop. For each time, I'm going to go ahead and create a variable, which is going to create a user like so. So user, all it needs is an email, password, and then it also needs the first name as the last name and the image as well, because we added in those fields. But without adding in those fields is only email and password. So the email, which would be a string of tests, and then I will interpolate the I, which is the iterator. And that will be like test 1, test 2, test 3, test 4, etc., all the way up till what we have there. And then I'll do @test.com. And then the password, which would be password. And then this one would be test. And then also interpolate the I. And then their last name would be similar, but I'll call it testing. And then for the default image, I don't have a default image. So let's grab one from Unsplash for their default image for a user. Actually, since we're doing cats, let's do one of a cat. Yeah. Oh, wow, these are all, oh, nice. Let's do this one. This is the default user URL. That works. And that will go ahead and generate our user. And then to make sure that it will work, I'm going to increase the iterator every single time it loops by 1. After that, I am going to create 10 cats for each of the times that we are creating a user. So that will go ahead and create the first user, and then it'll create 10 cats for that user, and then second user, 10 cats for that user, so on and so forth. So what I am going to do, yeah, I think we are good to do a cat.create. And I believe Faker has some stuff, so I'll look into that in a sec. But before I forget, we need the name, the breed, the registry, the avatar, and then the user ID. And with the user ID, we can actually grab it from our variable here of @user.id. So that part should be good. So let's go inside of Faker. I'll do this in a new tab, actually. Faker gem. And there's actually one library that actually has a lot of cat information. So if you go Faker, I believe is creatures. Creatures right here. And there's actually one for cat. So we're actually going to use this here for the cat name, breed, and avatar. So let's do this one for a random cat name. This one for a random cat breed, because I actually don't know any of them here. And then this is for the registry of where it is registered with. And then for the avatar, I actually saw this one right here on Faker, and this will give you the one for the cat here. So inside of Faker, there's one that is called Avatar that isn't the movie. And then you are able to go ahead and choose a avatar image for that. So I actually have this line already inside of the notes, so I'll copy it over so that way it'll give us random cat avatars here. So that's what we are going to be doing. So then that should be all good. And then I'll go ahead and for now, I'll just go ahead and do puts, done seeding. Or you can go ahead and do what we did in the last project and display everything out if you want to. But I'll just have this sentence here. So here is our seeds file that will generate for us fake users and fake cats for the fake users. And then to run this, we are going to go ahead and do a bundle exec rails db seed. That will also tell you if you have errors or as well. And it looks like we do. And yeah, I should say times, not time. That one's plural here. So let me re-slack this. Let me edit this message to fix that. Did have one typo. So it should be time here. Plural, not singular. Okay, so that one should be up to date. So yeah, let's go ahead and do this again. And then that looks like it's done seeding. So now we have our backend for the cats done, which is everything here. But the main thing is that inside of the controller, all the parent is going to be current user. I don't need the before action for that. And then inside of the routes, config routes here, the resources will be on its own because I don't need to pass in the user's information through the cats. That would just be fine the way that it is here. Okay, let's go ahead and add that to our GitHub. So we'll do get add. And we'll do get commit -m. We'll do cat back and done. And then we'll go ahead and do a push. So the next thing that we are going to be doing is to go ahead and work on our front end, but we're actually going to use what we learned last week of using the provider. So that's what we'll be working with today, is that we'll be doing all of our CRUD actions, but through the providers there. So let's go ahead and get that started. And it's really up to you. It's really up to how you want to tackle things. You can write out your providers first, or you can fill them out as you go for each of the CRUD actions. So either way is going to be good. Just know that when you are writing your provider, they follow a specific pattern. We just need to follow that pattern here. So let's create a new provider, and we are going to call this cat provider. And again, we usually namespace things the name of the model it is that we are working with. So in this case, we're working with the cat model. So that's why this is called cat provider. So we'll be creating that here. First things first is to import a few things. First one is going to be React, as well as use state and use effect. And this is from React. And then we are also going to be importing Axios from Axios to go ahead and figure that part out with the Axios calls. And then lastly, to navigate to another page, will you do the use navigate. And this one is from React Router DOM. First thing that we are going to be creating is the initial context that will go ahead and tap into the context API. That one would be with react.createContext. The next thing that we are going to be doing is the context consumer. This is how we get access to the provider. So that one is the cat context.consumer. And then last thing that we need is the cat provider. This one is all of the children, which is all the props that we are going to be passing in. And then what we are going to be returning is going to be the cat context dot provider. And then inside of here, that is where we'll have the children be displayed. And then with that, we'll also have the value here. This one will need 2 curly braces because it returns an object. And then this is what we'll have access to with the consumers, whatever is in the value here. And then last thing that we'll do for this for now is to export default the cat provider here. Okay, so again, this is where you'll be putting all of your CRUD actions, which is going to be this file. And then we can access that regardless of what component we are going to be doing. So we'll tackle things one at a time with each of the CRUD actions. And then we'll go ahead and see what we would need to do for each of them here. So first things first is that we are going to have a cats value that we are going to be storing within our component. And then we are going to be doing a use state to store an empty array here. The other thing is that to get navigate, the use navigate up and running, you need to go ahead and set it to a variable calling it navigate, and then call it as a function of use navigate like so. After that, we can go ahead and do our use effect, and this will go ahead and run our code that we have here to go ahead and grab all of the cats from our database for the login user. So we have to make sure that this is a login user route for this to work. So let me actually run this server real quick. We'll take a look at the routes so we can kind of see where that would be. So let's go ahead and start this server here. Have it over here. We'll refresh it. And yeah, here is all of our routes. It's a little bit further down because all this has to do with device stuff. And our actual one that we have is this one right here. So if I want to go to the index, let me zoom in a bit, is going to be this route here. So that will be a get request slash API slash cats. So this would be a get request slash API slash cats. What we are going to be doing with the information is going to go ahead and do a response and then set cats like so, and then res.data like so. And then for our catch, we're actually going to implement our flash messages that we learned yesterday. So what we are going to do is that we'll go ahead and we can also console log them as well. But what we are going to have is that we'll go ahead and have one called errors and then set errors like so. And then this one would be our use state of null, because initially we shouldn't have any errors at all. But if we go ahead and do have errors, we need to go ahead and set those errors here. But for now, I don't know how to get the errors. It might just be errors, but I feel like we need to dig a little bit more into that. So we need to double check if this is how we get the error message. So I'll show you what you need to do to go ahead and set the error message for each of these. So I'll put a debugger here to take a look at this error value here once we do get an error. Yeah. Don't know if we are able to, and if we are able to, we might need to trigger a error right here by removing the cats here. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and in the values here, we can go ahead and have the cats be passed through, which is the array of all the cats that we are storing. We'll also have errors here. So if there are any errors, we can use them. And then the set errors function. And then the use effect is already working, so we don't need to do anything with that. But if we wrap that into a another function, then we would. But in our case, we should be good. So let's go ahead and see how that is. And then let's also see how we can grab the error message too. So let's go ahead and do a, well, actually, I don't think I'm running this quite yet. So here is my cat provider so far. And I think what I am going to do now is inside of the index.js. Sorry, I just thought of a possible error that might occur later on, but we'll see if that does occur. With this, we are going to import the cat provider inside of the index.js, so that way it will be global. So then that would be from providers and then cat provider like so. So then with this, we are going to go ahead and wrap our app with our cat provider. And notice because of the relationship, the parent is going to be the user, which is handled with auth, and then the child is going to be cat here. I think for some cases it doesn't matter, but just to be safe, we'll just have parent and child be embedded in each other. So that way it will go ahead and define all the stuff beforehand when we are working on stuff. So now let's go ahead and do a yarn start. That will go ahead and it will run our particular code. And I think now we can take a look, and it does have an error. And I think this error is correct because right now it's trying to grab all the cats, but the way that our controller works is that you can only do that if we are logged in. So we might need to do one more thing to make sure that the user is logged in. But let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick. Let's take a look at what the error message is. And it looks like it's an Axios message. So it looks like we can have, let's see, is there anything that we can use? We have the response here. and it would be data. I don't know what this is. I don't know why it shows a string of HTML. So yeah, let's see. This is the error message of internal server error. I was hoping that it gives us a better error message. So let's just do error dot response dot data, and then what is this? It's just HTML. Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's just a bunch of random HTML that we have here. Action controller caught. Yeah, I don't know if this is a good error message to display. But yeah, we'll go ahead and just print out the internal server error. That might be a little bit more helpful. So that would be error, and then it looks like it is response, and then status text. We'll have that. So this would be inside of our cat provider error dot response dot status type, I believe. Status text, that is capital text. Status capital text. And that should give us a error message there. Yeah. So that should be good. And then inside of our components, cat provider, yeah, it will say internal server error. We're not displaying that anywhere, so that's why you don't see that. But that is the type of error that we are encountering. So let me try this. And if this doesn't work, we might need to do something inside of the provider real quick. So one thing that we could do in the controller to kind of help out with this is that before we do everything, we need to make sure that the user is logged in. So the before action, and then it would to be a authenticate user. Authenticate user. So that means that you have to go ahead and be logged in before you do any of the controller stuff for the cats. So let's see if this works and if we are getting an error for this case here. So yeah, that is a much better error. And it just says unauthorized for now, which is fine. Yeah. So I think we need to do both things. So here is our cat controller. And I just added that line to make sure that the user is logged in. And then here in our provider, I'm actually not going to do this in a use effect. I'm going to call it in a function. Call it const get all cats. And then I'll call this function in a use effect somewhere else. So that way this won't get triggered right now because we don't need it to be triggered right now. We can just have it the way it is later on. So let's just make that quick change as well. So we'll have this as a function instead of a use effect. And we'll call that function later on somewhere else. So then let's go ahead and let me re-slack out the provider. That will go ahead and give us no error messages because we aren't logged in or anything. So it's still null. And then here, we need to go ahead and create the page for us to get all of the cats and then start to display out the cats. So let's go ahead and let's go into the app.js. And here, this is where we kind of stubbed things out the other day or yesterday. So let's go ahead and import cats from /component/ we'll have a folder called cats, and this is where the cats would be, is inside of that folder. So that's what we'll have, and then we can uncomment this one here, and that will go ahead and be a protected route, meaning that you can't get to this particular route, this particular path, unless you are signed in. So let me select this out and I'll show you what I mean. So here is the app.js here. Well, actually, we need to define what @cats is because it's giving us a different error because we don't have that. So let's do that real quick. So inside of components, we'll do a new folder called cats. And then inside of cats, we'll do one called capital C cats.js. And it would be const cats. And then this would also be return. I'll just return that for now. So here is the cat.js. We just have this to be stubbed out for now. But here, let me show you what this actually does for this protected route, which we set up yesterday. So anything inside of this group of protected routes, that means that you have to log in to access this particular route. So right now, we are not logged in. So then if I go ahead and go to /cats, it'll actually redirect me to the login page. So here's the home page, and here it redirects me to, well, if I go /cats, it'll redirect me to the login page here. So let's actually log in with the test user that we have. It'll be test1@test.com. That's the one that we have in our seed. And then the password will be password. So test1@test.com and then password. That will allow us to be logged in here. And then now that we are logged in, we are able to go ahead and access the /cats here, which is a blank page, but later on it will be all the cats. So that's how it works, is that the protected route will only give you access once you are logged in. So that is what we have here. So then let me go ahead and add this to the nav bar so it's easier to access. So inside of the shared nav bar, we want to do it inside of the links that show up if the user's logged in. That is inside of this if statement right here. So I am just going to go ahead and do a link here. And then the li of cats. And then the link will go to cats. Again, I want to put in this area because this is where, if you are logged in, it will show that particular link here for the nav bar. That's why I want. So that is where you would put these links here. So it'll only show up when you're logged in. Okay, so let's actually get some of the stuff up and running for the cats. And we'll just keep it simple. We'll take it one action at a time. Let's, since we already are doing the one for our index, let's go ahead and continue on with that index. So I'm actually going to have a cat list here. And with this cat list, I am just going to need to import it. So import cat list from /cat list. So that's what we'll have. So here's the cats.js. And actually, I think I am going to also import the consumer. So I have access to all of the cats in the provider. So let's also import the cat consumer from the provider file. And what I am going to do, I'm actually, going to do a const. This will be cat connected cats. That's what we'll call it, connected cats, because it is connected to our individual provider. That's what this is representing. Pass in the props, and then inside of here, we are going to actually wrap the cat consumer around the values that are coming from the provider. And then this would be cats like so, but we are also passing all the props that were already there. And then the other one of the one coming from our provider. So that's the one that we have here. So that's what these values are. So then that's what we'll have. And then that is also what we are exporting default. So then what I am going to pull from here is that I'm going to pull in all the cats and pass that in here as well for cats. And that works. So then here is the cats file. And then inside of our, let's see. Inside of our cat list here, we are going to do a cons. Let me take a look at the wireframes real quick, see how this would work. So there is a modal for the show. So, but then the edit is on another page. So that's fine. So I think for this, we can just do it like how we've been doing it with the mapping. And then when they go ahead and click on it, that will open up the modal for this modal here. So we'll work on the show afterwards. So let's mainly do this one here of showing all of the cats. So then this one will be cons cat list equals, and then we are passing in all of the cats. And then what we are going to be doing with that information is to go ahead and display that. So I'm going to need a curly brace return because I'll have a modal later on for my show. And then it will be export default cat list. And then inside of here, this is where I am going to do my cats.map, referencing each one of those as C. And then as I am mapping through them, let's see what's the best way to do this. So I think we need to incorporate a grid system because each row has 4 items, or else if we were to do this itself, it will each show up in each of the rows. So let's actually import stuff from React Bootstrap to kind of style as we go as well. So one thing I need to bring in is the container, rows, and columns. And then we're actually going to have the columns be only 4. So I think we can set that inside of the row if I remember correctly. So yeah, we can do that inside of the row. So then let's go ahead and also import those items to style from container, row, and column from React Bootstrap. And then here, we have this be a container. And then what we'll have here, I think this says all my cats. So we'll just have a H1 here of my cats. And then inside of here would be our row. And then here we'll also go ahead and have it be large size of 4 columns. Large size of 4 columns. And then inside of here, it'll be just a single column for now. And this column will go ahead and it looks like this item here is a card. So we can go ahead and see there is a card component that we can use. So yeah, it looks like it's this one right here. So we can actually use this one here. So let's also import a card and we'll copy this over for this to work. So this one is card and copy this over. And we need to change some stuff here. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller for now. The image is going to be coming from the cat. So the cat actually has an image. That one is called c.avatar. And then the body has the title. So this is where we can put the cat's name. So c.name. We'll also have 2 p tags. One for the registry. And another one for the breed. So we'll do breed. Oh, actually, do we need to display that? Oh, it just has a name. I think all the other stuff is right here. So I actually don't need to display the name or breed or anything. So we can actually get rid of this, which works. Yeah, we can get rid of this. This button also needs to be imported as well. And we'll worry about that in a sec, because that one will be our show. Yeah, that would trigger our show here. So let's see how that looks like. And if it looks good, I can go ahead and slack it out. Looks like I don't have any cats. Then if I go cats here, oh, you know what? There is no cats. That is correct. So here's the cat list. And what I need to do is that I need to go ahead and call a function from my provider inside of my cats here. So let me slack this out. Well, actually, let's do this first, and then I'll slack both at the same time. So something that I need to do, I forgot about this, is that inside of the provider, I changed this from a use effect to a function. We need to call the function to get all the cats from the database. So instead of doing a use effect in here, which will always run because it's in a global scale, I just need it to run inside of here. So let's go ahead and do an import use effect here from React. And then what we are going to do is to also have our get all cats. I think that's what it's called. Yep, get all cats. And we'll do our use effect here. And then this is where we are going to do a get all cats. And that will go ahead and get all of the cats here for us to grab inside of our cat list. So then that should be good. And then there it is. Yeah, I think we need to change some stuff so it's not super long, but yeah, that looks good. So here is the cats plural. We're just calling that function that we have in our provider and inside of our cat list. I don't think the card is the issue. I think it is the image. But let me go ahead and boost this down to like 5. No, I think it would have to be. What happens if I don't have the style? Yeah, I think it needs to be like 6 REM, maybe 4. Or let's actually do 8. Yeah, 8 looks good. But then we also need to change this of height. Wonder if this has a height actually. Let's double check in the documentation. Inside of React Bootstrap, inside of card.image here, has as and then string. Okay. Yeah, I guess it doesn't have that. So I guess we need to just do a quick style here of the height to be a little bit smaller. We'll just have it be 200 pixels. And we'll tweak that a little bit later with our actual styling. Yeah, that looks way better. Nice. Maybe 150 might look even better. Yeah, 150. Awesome. So yeah, so that here is the cat list. And that is what we would need to do to get our index showing. So now it shows all of the cats here that this user has. So here we have a Shadow, Daisy, Angel, and Coco. And if we log out and log into a different user like test2 at test.com, password is password. And then we go to their cats, it's a different cats. Even though some of them may be the same name, that's because Faker only has certain amount of cat names, but that is what it will have here. So it will show their own user that's logged in, all of their cats here. Okay, let's go ahead and get the show up and running. So that would be a modal. So let's actually go ahead and set that one up. We actually need to do a use state here to keep track of whether or not the modal is open or closed. And this is from React. And then I'll go ahead and call this one cons show and then set show. And by default, it should be false. So use state false. And that is a-okay. So what I want to have happen is that with this button here, this will go ahead and open up that particular one here. But I don't know if that will work now thinking about it. Yeah, I don't think I should be doing it at this level. I should be doing it somewhere else. Because let me actually show you the problem. Because if I go ahead and do at this level, it will go ahead and no matter which cat it is that I press, it will go ahead and actually display that same cat here. So that's what I don't want to have happen. So we might need to take this logic into its own component now thinking about it. So let me show you the issue that this will be encountering. So let's actually go to React Bootstrap, go into our modal. And then this one is the one that we want, which is this modal right here. We already did all that. So here is the modal bit. And then the on click would be the handle show here. And I'll go ahead and display this here. But yeah, this won't work. So one thing that I am going to be doing is that this button here is going to have it on click. And that would be set show to be true. And then we'll put that as an anonymous function. So then this will go ahead and trigger a modal, which will then go ahead and do modal like so. And then let's see. Don't need these buttons. I actually don't need a footer, meaning need the body and the title. And then what we are going to do here is that this would be our handle close, which is this function that we have up here. Then this would be false. So that's how we close it. And then here, just for testing purposes, I'll go ahead and do c.name. But again, this will cause an issue because all of the cats, even though we're mapping through all of them, they all share the same state. So this will show all the modal for a particular cat, but it's not like what you think it would be. So now if I go ahead and click it, it will actually show Charlie, even though I click on Oliver here. Same thing with Lucy, it will always do Charlie here, which is these two cats here. And again, that's because we're all sharing the same state. To kind of do this a little bit better, we actually need to move this into its own component. So that way each component has its own state, not the whole entire one that we're mapping through would do that. So let's do that one real quick. That will be cat.js singular. And this is where we'll go ahead and do all of that here. So let me see what we would need to do. So we're actually going to keep this quite simple, actually. Now thinking about this, and we are going to refactor this a bit. So first things first is that with the cat, let's go ahead and just import the use state from React. And then I also need to import the card as well as the, I think, column, card, modal, and button, all from React Bootstrap. So those are what I am going to be using. So then after that, that should be good for now for me to start to bring things over. So let me bring this over for the use state. So I can remove that here. So then it will be cons cat equals, and then we'll take a look at the props in a sec. And then we'll have this and then return. And then I'll show you what we will return. Expert default cat. And then inside of cat list, let's go ahead and let's see, return this whole column here. Yeah, let's return this whole column over here in this return here. So that should be good. We just need to fix the indentation. And then we'll fix these here of what those would actually be. And then here, instead of rendering out our individual and map them out here, we're actually going to import our cat singular. So import cat singular, cat from ./cat.js. And this would be cat. And then let's go ahead and give it a key, which is a unique key value that is c.id. And then let's also give it c. We'll spread out everything that cat has. So that will spread out all the attributes of the cat. So it will be the cat's name, breed, etc. from there. So that's what we'll do. We can also, because we're not running any logic, bring this to a parentheses return here to make things a lot more easier in that case, a lot more cleaner like so. So that way, because we have it in its own component, it doesn't have to share the same state. Now each of the cat will have its own state for it to use. And then now the modal will work like normal. So here is the cat list refactored. And then inside of here, we just need to make some changes. We need to bring in the ID, the name, the avatar, the breed, and the registry. Everything that cat has. And then here, I just need to change that to be avatar, change this to be name. This one will be name. And then here we can go ahead and follow the modal that it has down here. Oh, so it looks like it is another grid inside of here, inside of the modal itself, that has the image as well as the name over here. So I also need to import container and row here. So it would be container and row. And then what I am going to be doing here is that it looks like inside of the body, I have a container and a row of 2 columns. The first one will go ahead and have the name, breed, and registry. So first one will have the H1 of the name. And then I'll do like an H4 of the breed. And this will say breed. And then a P tag of the registry. And that would be registry. And then it will have 2 of the buttons, which is the edit and the update button. So this one will say edit, and then the delete button, and then the other column that we have is going to be image of the avatar. So we'll just use image from React Bootstrap for now. And that one will be image here. And then the source is the avatar. Okay, so yeah, that's what we need. Let me double check if that looks good. Okay, everything working okay for the index. Let's see the show. Yeah, that looks good. I think we can actually get rid of the title now thinking about it. So yeah, I don't think we need this title here. Yeah, that looks good. Let me see what we can do with the image. Yeah, it looks like we can round it and all that. So we might need to style that a little bit later to make it more look like it's side by side. Because right now it's a little bit squished. So that works for now. But now you can see that even though that we click on Oliver, it only shows Oliver's information. Bella's is Bella's information. And then Lucy is also Lucy's information there. So here is the cat singular here. Okay, so that will go ahead and handle the index and the show action for the front end. So let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back from break, we are then going to go ahead and get some of the other functionality. Like let's go ahead and do the add and then the update and then the delete for the cats next using the provider as well. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back at 7:25. Okay, let's go ahead and get back to it. Let's go ahead and pick up where we left off, and we can go ahead and continue on with the CRUD actions. So next thing that we are going to be doing is going to be doing the create. I don't think we have any flash messages. So let's also implement that flash message in the list real quick if there are any. So let's bring in errors here. And set errors. And then we'll go ahead and implement flash message. So let's import that component that we created yesterday. So that is import flash. And then if there are any flash messages, so if, for example, if there are any errors, then we'll go ahead and display the flash message. Else don't display anything at all. And then with the flash messages, we are going to go ahead and pass in a few things. That is going to be the variant. That would be errors.variant. I do need to define that. And then message equal to errors.message. And then the set errors here to be the set errors up here. So that will go ahead and display any errors that we encounter later on. So here is the cats. And then inside of the provider, we'll continue on. But inside of here, we'll do a set errors here. And what we are going to do is that it will actually be an object that we are setting. So this will be an object. And then the variant is something that we need to define. And that is what type of color it is. So variant is equal to danger. And then the message is equal to this error message here. So that's what we'll do for setting our errors here. Okay. So let's go ahead and do a const get, or not get, it will be a add cat. This one will go ahead and require the cat that we are adding. And then here it will be an Axios call to, let's see where it's going to. So if I want to do a create, that'll be a post/API/cats. So it'll be post, and then it'll be /API/cats. Then we need pass in the cat variable. So that way it'll be permitted in our parameters. And then we are going to do a then with the response coming back, we are then going to go ahead and add the, I can do this in one line. We can go ahead and do a set cats to be all of the cats that are already there plus res.data. And then here, I actually don't know if this is how we can get the error message. So we would have to take a look at that here as well. So we'll put a debugger here and test that out to see what this would be, because this might change depending on how we are getting the error message. So then this is our add cat here. And then that will go ahead and be available for us. So we'll come back to this. We might need to come back to change that real quick. Let me slack out what we have currently for the cat provider. And then inside of our cats plural, we can go ahead and import our form for us to implement this. So we import our form. Let's see, we'll do an import, and then it would be a, yeah, I'll call it a cat form. I don't know why. I was thinking that it should be called something else. And what this would be is that it will just be right below this, so cat form, passing in, let's pass in another one of the add cats. Then that will go ahead and be passed in here as well. That is the function that we're grabbing from the parameters, going to do that over here. So here's the cats. Might need to move this if it shows up too often. Might need to move it inside of the in the list if we do need to. So here is the cats. And then we need to make our cat form. And actually, yeah, let's also pass in our errors here, as well as our set errors in here as well. The reason being is that if they mistype in anything in the form, we should also display that error message in the form. So let's pass in error messages here through the form as well. So here is the connected cats here for the cats.js. And then let's go ahead and create the form here of cat form. Import use state for now from React. Then we'll also import form and button from React Bootstrap, because we're styling as we go. And then we can go ahead and do a cat form here. And this will have the add cat, and then the errors, and then the set errors, like so. And then we'll go ahead and return and export default, the cat form, like so. But then what we are going to be doing here is to go ahead and, let's see, store all of the cat information first. So this will be const cat, then set cat, and it will be use state of the object of the name, which will be default to string, the breed, also a string registry, and then avatar, like so. So that will go ahead and store those values inside of the local component state. So then we need to do a handle submit here. And it'll be e.prevent default. And then what we are going to do after that is going to do a set cat. Not yet. We need to do add cat first. And then this one we'll go ahead and add it from our individual one that we have here, which is going to be called cat. And this will just be the initial state here for that to work. So then we'll just have one that says create cat for now. And what I am going to look at over on the React Bootstrap is to go ahead and do the form here. Have that form be here as well. But yeah, that looks very weird. So let's fix that so it looks less weird. There we go. Don't need a password or a checkbox. And then we actually don't need the text. And then we don't need anything having to do with the email. So this one will be the cat name. This one will just be type text, so nothing there. I'll have no placeholder, that's fine. I do need three things, and that is the name of it, and coincidentally, it is called name here. The value of where we are storing it, which is cat.name, and then on change, which is this, which is going to be our set cat equal to everything that was already stored within the state plus plus the name to be e.target dot value. And then we'll also have this be passed in here, and we'll have this be required to. Okay, so that will take care of the name. And what else? If you want to know how to do it side by side, because right now we'll show it one row at a time. We just need to import the grid column. That's it. So let's also do that too, so I can show you what I mean. So it'll be container, and then we'll need row and column. So it looks like this form is inside of a container. And then all of the form group and the button, that is all inside of this container. And then we'll do the row in a sec, but before I forget, let's do on submit equals handle submit. And then inside of here, this is where we'll be doing one row, and then we'll do two columns. And we'll do another row with another two columns here. So then what I'm going to do is just copy this inside of the first column. So that will be our first column here. And the other one will be breed. So I'll just copy this one over here. And this one would be for breed. So we'll change that in a sec. Well, let's also paste that here. And here. So that way this would be name, and then in the same row, but the different column, that one will be registry. So this, I can just say registry. And then this is what it will be in registry. And that's what we'll have here, here, and here. And this one will be the breed. So let's do breed. And that would be breed here, here, and here. And lastly, we have the avatar image. And this one will be avatar like here, here, and here. And that's how we are able to kind of do that rows and columns, is to actually bring in the grid system. And that will go ahead and give us rows and columns from there. So that should be good. Yeah, so that is what this will give us. And then if you want to make things a little bit more centered, especially for the title, there is a class name that we can use from Bootstrap called text center. And that will go ahead and center everything to the center here. So that's what we'll do there. I wonder if that works for buttons. Let me try that. So we also need to do this here. If it doesn't, then that means that we need to do that, yeah, with custom styles. Okay, so there is our form. And then to get the errors up and running, we'll need to go ahead and do the same logic of what we have here. So we need to import flash message, and then we can run the same logic of what we have here for when we do create a error here. So let's do import flash from flash, and that will help us out with the flash message. Okay, so let's see if this works. I want to change the thing and then I'll slack it out. So let me just do this real quick. And yep, that does create. But let me go ahead and do this. But then I won't have the avatar. So this should hit my console. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the required field here. So I'll take that off. So then that way I'll just submit it. Then that will go ahead and it will give us a error message. And oh, I forgot to read the error message. Let's do that again. So let me go ahead and I think it was test1@test.com. Password. Sometimes you have to re-log in just because you've just been logged in for too long. That's fine. So let me do this again. Then for the avatar, I'll remove the require field. And then inside of here, that should hit my error. And we'll take a look at how we can grab the error message. So this is error. Okay. So there is a message, but let's look at the response actually. So then it will be error.response. And then .data, looks like that has some stuff. And it looks like there is errors. And then looks like we need to do some string interpolations there. So yeah, it'll be errors dot, looks like it is response dot data dot errors. And then that will give us a key value pair. And with that, we can go ahead and interpolate the key and then the value after that. So let's go ahead and do that for the error message for the create. So here is the cat form. And then with error messages, you just have to kind of look through your console and play around with it to make sure that it works. So then this one, it would be error dot response dot data dot errors. That will give us the key or the object, and then that will then need to be given us the value that we need to here. So it'll be the errors, and then is there a way for us to grab the first key of a hash? So let's look that up. So grab first key from a hash React. First key name of a JavaScript. It will be keys of whatever the hash name is, and then we can do this. Okay. So let's do that then. I need to put that over here. Here's our hash. So that will give us the key. And let's interpolate this actually. Yeah. And then the value is just that key that we are calling. Yeah, I think that might be good. because this will give us the keys. And using that, we can go ahead and grab the value. Yeah, so this might get a little bit messy, but it'll work. So with that, I will go ahead and grab the key. So then I can go ahead and do this first, and then this after. I don't know if that works. I'm actually going to have this as a variable for me to use. So this will be the field here. Which is this variable here. And then with the field, I can have that display here. And here I can go ahead and do dot field here. I think that will work a little bit better. So then it will say the field, which is how we are getting the value. So in this case, it would be like avatar or name or breed. That's what this is over on the left-hand side. And then the array is going to be our value that we are grabbing on this side here. So be the field, and then we'll grab the first value like so. So let's see if that works. If not, I'll make some tweaks here. Let's go ahead and create a cat again, doing the same thing. And that should give us a good flash message. But I'm going to take off this required for now. Okay. And I think it did. Cannot read properties of undefined of 0, line 35. Oh, so I can just do this. So let's do that one more time. And we'll remove this one more time. Go ahead. Avatar. Oh, I don't know why it says undefined here. Let's put a debugger here again. Take a look at that. I think it's this part that we need to fix a little bit more. Yeah, let's fix that. I don't know if we can call it by the variable name now, thinking about it. So one more time. Now we'll hit our console. We'll take a look at what field is. And then we'll take a look at the what this would be. Errors, and then if I do dot field. Oh yeah, it doesn't know that. Wonder if there's a way to get the first value from a hash. Grab the first value from a hash react. Get the first element of an object. Let's see. Oh, that's the same one that we have. Yeah, so I think this is what we want. It's the is this one here. So how that would work, let me see. The object is this. And then this one will be let message or let error message be this. So then this is what will go here. So yeah, it looks like there is something that will give us the first value coming from a hash. So that should look a lot more better. Took us a sec to figure that out. We still need to test it out to see if that works. But in the end, it will help us out to error handle a little bit better. There we go. Avatar cannot be blank. Sweet. So yeah, this is what I mean when it's showing it more than once. So I actually need to make a few tweaks in the cat.js plural. So here is the provider. Awesome. So yeah, most of that is just putting a debugger there and trying to grab the error message and display it inside of a readable format, because some of it is not the same as others. So we might need to dig around a little bit more. So yeah, let's make that quick fix. I actually need to move this inside of my list instead of inside of the cats, because it is showing my message more than once. So yeah, we don't want that. Did you have a question on it?
Yes, sorry. My question is, any suggestion that how we set up the flash message when people set up the like password, like, oh, you have to have how many numbers and how many character or capital lowercase.
We
So
already did that yesterday, actually.
yes, but does the flash message show that actually?
Yes, it does.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, yesterday we already did that. That's what this one does. And then for the provider, that's already handled inside of here. So yeah, that will do it for a login and register. And that will go ahead and depending on what error it is, it will go ahead and display that there.
Perfect.
Yep. So yeah, I just moved the error message inside of the cat list. And then I'm also going to pass in these down to the cat list as well. So that way it can have access to the errors and set errors too. So errors is just from errors. And then set errors like so. And then we'll actually need to import Flash over here now, as well as errors and then set errors. So yeah, so we just move that Flash message instead of showing up in the cats, it'll only show up in the list and inside of the form. And that's where it should show up. Or else we get like double error messages if we do have one for the form. So yeah, that should be good here. I feel like this might cause the same issue, but we'll see. If not, we can come back to this a little bit later. And then cat list like so. And then yeah. One more thing that we need to do for the ad is that it looks like it is a modal. Yeah, so you press that plus button and that's what it will do. So let's go ahead and do that real quick as well. That one will need some modal logic. So this one will be, I need to bring in my use state. So it'll be const if we are adding or not, and then set add. And then by default, it'll be use state, and then it'll be false to not show that particular modal. And then let's go ahead and import. Yeah, that's not button there. That's just whatever word. We need to import the modal from React Bootstrap. And then that's what we'll do for now. Let's bring in the modal from React Bootstrap over. Yeah, we want this one here. So this is the modal that we want. So I'm just gonna have a P of a plus button. We'll style that a little bit later. So here is our modal. And with our modal, don't need the footer. The body will be blank for now. And I don't need the header either. And the cat form is actually what is going to be in this modal. So that's what I'm going to put inside of the modal body. And then whether or not it's showing, that is based off of our state of if we are adding or not. And then on the handle close, it would be this function that we set with the anonymous function here. Okay, so that should work. The last thing that we need here is the on click. Or if we did click on this, this would be anonymous function of set add to be true. So then that should put it inside of a modal. So if I click on this, it will show it in a modal, and then that will create the cat if I needed to as well. Awesome. So let me re-slack out the cats. Now everything is looking good, coming along. Now we can go ahead and work on our other CRUD action. So we did the create, we did the show. So now we just need the edit and the delete. We can do the delete really quick because that one should be a quick one. And then the update will take a little bit longer because it is on a separate page. So we need to write out that logic of the separate page as well as grabbing the information that we need as well for it. So then what we are going to be doing now is to go ahead and work on, I'm just going to write out the functions and then we'll come back to it when we get to it. So then with that, we are going to write out the update function because we'll be working on that after break, and then the delete function too. And that's what we'll be doing for now. So it'll be const update cat, pass in the cat ID and the cat itself. And then it'll be an Axios call. I want to say put, usually it is a put request, but to double check, it is a put request with a /API/cats with the ID of the cat. So it is a put request /API/cats and then the ID of the cat. Pass in the cat object itself. And then we'll go ahead and do our promise handling. So with the response coming back, we are going to create a variable, call it new updated cats. And what that will be is all the cats being mapped, reference each one of those as C. And then if C.id is equal to the ID of the one that we are updating, then return res.data. Else we'll return C. And it'll be set cats to be this one right here. And then I am going to navigate back to /cats afterwards. So that will take me back to the cats page. And then for the catch, I think it will be the exact same thing because it's using the same form for the error message. So if you're not filling in the field, it will go ahead and do this field here. So let's go ahead and do this part here of the update cat. And then we can go ahead and work on the delete cat afterwards. And then we'll probably leave it off there and we'll work on that after the break. So then it will be delete cat. That just needs the ID. That one will go ahead and require an Axios call.delete. And should be /API/cats / the ID of the cat. So let's take a look at that. Yep, that is exactly what it is. And then how we are going to handle that is with the response coming back. We are going to go ahead and we'll do this in one line. It'll be cats.filter. Well, actually, let's do it in multiple lines. It'll be set cat, and then it'll be cats.filter, filtering each one of those as C, and then C.id with all of the ones that are not the one that we are deleting. And then we'll navigate back to cats as well. For the error message, I don't know. We need to figure that out. I want to say it might be similar to the index, but one thing that we can do is to kind of error handle by passing in an ID that it doesn't have, and that might trigger it. And then we can take a look at what this would be. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that as well, because I don't think it would be error.response.status text here. So that should be good there. And I think that would be good. Let me see if we have enough time to do this delete button. So yeah, let's try to do the delete button. We might have to come back for that after the break for the error message. So for the delete button, so here is the provider real quick. So for the delete button, that is inside of cats. Cat doesn't have this, but the one that does have it is going to be inside of cats plural. So one thing that I could do is to pass it down through props, which is possible, or I can connect cats to a provider. So either way works. Regardless of where we are, the provider will still be an option. I think what we are going to do is to do it here in the delete cat and the cats level, just so we can just pass it down through props. Actually, I think I might have to do a similar thing with the edit maybe as well. So yeah, let's actually do it here. So this would be import the cat consumer from the provider's file. We'll go ahead and leave everything the same, and then it'll be cons connected cats. Pass in all the props that were there, and then it will go ahead and return the cat consumer. That's how we get access to the stuff from the provider. And what the value that we have, it would be the cat here being passed in of all of the props, and then all of the values here coming from our consumer that is grabbing it from the provider. So then I can go ahead and grab the delete cat here. And with the delete cat, I can now get this button up and running. So I'm just going to put this in the zone line. So then I am going to have it on click. That would be a event that will delete the cat with the ID. So let me see if that works. Let's delete Captain Suzo. And yeah, looks like that works. Let me do one more. Let's do Tony. Awesome. So yeah, looks like that works here. So here is the cat.js. We just brought in the consumer, so we can do that anywhere. Then now to kind of debug this a little bit, let's just pre-do this to be a ID of a cat that we don't have. So just for testing purposes for this, I'm going to pass in the ID of, I don't think I have a 78 ID of a cat. So that should give us an error. So that should hit our debugger. So then let's go ahead and let's open this up. Go ahead and try to delete Daisy. But then that will try to delete the ID of the one that we have. I think that worked. Oh wait, give me a sec. So let's do this again, delete. Yeah, there we go. That's what I want to see. So then inside of the console, it would be error. And then it will be error.response. And it's doing that thing again where it's giving us a lot of HTML. That really doesn't help us in this case. I wonder what this HTML actually shows. So I'm actually going to display this in CodePen to see what this actually displays. So let's just do CodePen real quick and let's just investigate more of what this HTML shows. I just create one. Here is the HTML. And that is a lot of HTML that it shows. Yeah, I think it just gives us Rails error page that it is giving us here. So it's not very informative. And it's a lot of stuff that we also don't need to. So let's actually find the error message another way, or we can go ahead and try to see if we can do something in the controller to help out with that. So yeah, that's not it. Let's take a look at error again. Oh, got out of my debugger. So let's do delete. And this will be console error dot. Let's just take a look at errors first. And it looks like the message is a good 4.4 message that we can have. I guess one thing that we could do, oh yeah, the status text again. So the response, so error dot response dot status text. So exactly how we had it actually in the cat provider. So this actually works. So never mind. So then that should give us an error message because it can't find that. Yeah, it says not found. So yeah, that's the message that we want. So it looks like this works with delete as well. So we didn't need to change anything for the provider, so that should be good. So here is the cat provider. Awesome, that will handle the delete. When we come back from break, we'll finish up the cat level by doing the update, but the update is going to be on its own page. So we'll do that when we come back from break. Let's come back. Well, actually, yeah, let's come back at 8:20. Okay, let's go ahead and finish up our application. So we got the index showing, we got the show for each of the cat working. We also have the ability to add and to delete. So last one up is going to be the edit. So again, with the edit, it looks like based off of the wireframes, we go ahead and press on this button, we need to go ahead and navigate to a whole nother page to update that particular cat. So let's go ahead and make that route, and that will go ahead and lead on into the particular form that we are having there. So that is what we'll be doing next, is to do the route, and then we'll do the link. And with the link, we can then go ahead and update our form as well. So this one, we need to have our cat form from ./component/cats/cat form. And then this one is what we'll have here. But this one will be for cat form. So then we can go ahead and do the ID of the cat. And it will be update cat like so. That is the route that we'll have. So here is our app.js. And then let's go ahead and create for us that link that would be inside of our, I believe in our cat list. Oh, inside of our cat singular, because that's where this button is. So let's go ahead and import the link like so. So import the link from React Router DOM. And then we need to link to that particular path here. So if yours is going to be a button, you can actually wrap your button around a link, and that will treat the button also like a link as well. So then this will go ahead and go to the ID of the individual cat, and then /update cat. So that will lead us into the right page. But we also need to pass in some information so it knows that we are doing an update. So that takes us to here, and it passed in the ID and the URL as well as the changing to the right page here. So yeah, so it looks like it is working. Something else that we are going to add is going to be additional information that we are going to pass through the link. So if it's through props, then it will be through one way, but because this is on a whole nother page, we need to go ahead and pass it through the links storage, which is the state here. So then I'll just go ahead and have the ID be the ID. And then we'll also go ahead and also have the name of the cat be the name. I think I need to have this be in 2 curly braces because I want to return an object. Yeah, that's what it is. But it is going to then also need the breed, and then the avatar. And avatar like so. So that's what we'll have. But React is smart enough to know is that if you just have the key, it will also know that it will be the key and then the value of what we have here. So this will work as well. So that's the information that we are passing through the link is the ID, the name, and the breed of the cat it is that we are going to be working with. Again, it's only able to do read-only items. I can't pass in functions, so I can't really do that functionality here in this particular case. So then here is the cat singular that we have. Let me format that better in the Slack message. And then inside of the form, this is where we are going to import a few things to grab that information. So to grab the ID from the URL, it will be the use params. And then to grab the information that we need, that will be the use location. So we need both of those to go ahead and work with some of our items here. So then inside of here, it will be const. We call the ID equals to the use params. And the reason why it's called ID here is that inside of our app.js, we called it ID here. So whatever you put over here, that is what we are going to be bringing in inside of the use params. And then we'll also do const let's see. We are going to call this location equals use location. And then from there, we can go ahead and grab the name, the breed, the registry, and the avatar, all from the information that we have from the location.state. So then with that, we can do a use effect. Go ahead and pre-populate our form with this information. And then with that, if the ID does exist, then we are going to go ahead and we are going to need to do a set cat to the name, breed, registry, and avatar. And then here, we need to do the function of adding or updating, but we need to connect to the consumer because that's what will have the update function. So let's go ahead and do that here. So this would be the cat consumer coming from the providers file. From there, from the cat consumer, I can then go ahead and do const connected cat form. And with this connected cat form, that will pass in props of all of the props that are already there. And then this one will be our cat consumer. And this one will be the values that we are grabbing from the provider. And with that, we are going to have the cat form. And with the cat form, it would be all of the props that were already there, plus the update function, which is coming from values. We'll just spread out all of the values as well. And then that's what we are exporting here. So then here, I could bring in my update cat function. And then I can use that in my handle submit. So that works there. So again, anything that you need from the provider, you can do so via the consumer. And then we'll do if ID. Then we'll go ahead and do update cat with the ID and the cat. Else, we are going to do this add cat. We don't have a modal, so we don't need to do a set edit or anything because it's on a whole nother page. So that's why it looks a little bit different there. So then inside of here, let's change this message a bit. So instead of saying create cat, I am going to see that if there is a ID, then it'll say update cat. Like so. So here is the cat form. And then let's see if that edit is working for us. So we'll go cat, show, edit. And it still is saying create. I don't know if it's grabbing the if it's grabbing it correctly. So let me see. So we have the use effect as a use params here. So yeah, I feel like it should be hitting this this variable here. So let me put debugger why it's not. Maybe it does, but it does it super slowly. And then I can have the ID here, which is 2. Yeah. Wonder if this is considered as a string, and maybe that's why. So yeah, I want to see. Yeah, let's do that one more time. Yeah, there we go. I don't know why it works all of a sudden, but sure. Yeah, that works. Let's see why the registry isn't coming in. That might be either in our form. So cat.value.registry. And let me double check if I spell it correctly, because my spelling for registry might be a little bit off. So registry here should be the same inside of my form. So this should be registry, registry, and registry, and registry. So yeah, that looks good. I don't know why it's not having the registry. Let's double check our cat dot. Oh, forgot to put that right here in the registry. That's why. So inside of the cat.js, I forgot to put in registry. That's why it's not populating. So here is the cat.js. Now that should be better. So it'll be cats, daisy, edit, and there we go. Sweet. And then let's see if it updates. And it does. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Sweet. So yeah, so that works. And the error handling should work the exact same, because if you take the required off and then do it without like a name or avatar or something, it should give you the same error message. So that would handle the level that is right after the user, which is cats. So the parent is going to be user, but that's mostly for the back end. For the front end, we don't really need to worry about that relationship at all, because we can grab it wherever we need to. So the front end is actually the exact same as how we've been doing it. It's just that the backend for the controller, it needs to be current user. So let's go ahead and save what we have, and then we'll see what we can do for the next level here as well. So yeah, it looks like the next level is going to be notes, and then that would work, and we'll get started on that and finish that tomorrow. So let's stop both of our servers. And we also did some provider stuff and some flash messages, things that we learned recently, but we're applying it to this project. So then what we are going to do is just to do a get add for now. And then we are doing a get commit-m. And then this would be cats crud all working. And then we'll go ahead and do get push origin main. Awesome. So this first level is all good to go. All CRUD actions are done. And notice how we aren't doing the random cat yet, because we should finish off the other functionality first. So the next level should be notes. And then we'll come back to this a little bit later on, because that is a custom function we need to define to get a random cat that we have. So now the next part is going to be notes. Looks like this is going to be another model, and it will belong to a particular cat. So example is that we have a cat named Fluffy, and then the notes for that is that Fluffy doesn't like water. And then that could be the body, and then the subject would be like fears or something. And then with this, there is a lot of modals going on. So that will help us out with some of the stuff. But I know inside of your homework assignment, it is going to be similar to notes as well. So I want to show you with that too. So let's go ahead and work on the notes part next. So let me actually see something. So it looks like notes, it has a date, time, a subject, and notes here. So yeah, so that's the fields that it has. But again, remember, even though that this is what it wants, this is, you can display it the exact same way of how we have it here. But inside of our database, we can't call it date or time because those are reserved words. Those are actually data types that is something else. So I'll show you what we would need to do for the date and time, especially for a model, and how we are going to have that when we generate it. So let's go ahead and generate a new model. Will be bundle exec rails G model. This one will be called note. And then a note has a subject, which is a string. And it also has a body. Yeah, we'll call it body. That one will be type text. And it also has a date and a time for when it is created. So we can actually use the created at, or we can use the one that we can define here, which I'm just going to call it N for note, or you can say note date, and then note time like so. And then both of these will be the data type of date time. And that will give us the ability to work with the date time variable, which will give us the data type that has date, and another one of time. So yeah, you can do note time if you want to. I'm just going to do end time and end date, just so it's a little bit shorter on typing. So that should be good. And then the other thing that we need here is that it will be the relationship inside of the database. And that would be the parent would be cat : belongs to. Cat : belongs to. So yeah, so that's what we'll have. So all of your date and times, they would be in the format of date and time, of date time here. And then it also needs to be not spelled the exact same way. So that's why I call it end date and end time here. There is a date type of format as well as a time format, but it's a little bit better to work with the date time format because it does do it in a UTC time. With the other one of time and date, you have to convert it even more. So that might be something that you might have to think about, but this moment can help us out with the date time here. So then that will go ahead and create for us the right items if you want to. But yeah, if you do want to do the data type and the time data type, you just have to do a little bit more exploration with that there. So let's go ahead and double check that part. Next, it would be our migration file, as subject, body, end date, and time, and then the foreign key to the cat. That looks good. So it'll be bundle exec rails db migrate to apply those changes. And let's go ahead and define the relationships in the model. So let's do that part next. Go collapse everything, app models, and then note looks good. I can do some validations in a sec. Cats, let's go ahead and do has many notes. And then this will have a dependent destroy. So that's what I'll have there for the cat, is that relationship over here. And then this would be over here. And then for the note, we'll go ahead and do the validation. So we validates the subject, the body. Those are the main ones I want. The date and time is fine to be blank. I won't have those be required. So that one will be presence true. So then we are going to go ahead and move on to the controller bit and the routes. So we'll do those two next. So then let's generate our controller. It'll be bundle exact Rails G controller. And this would be API/notes because models are singular, controllers are plural. It'll be index, show, create, update, and destroy. And we'll also skip routes because we're doing our own routes. So then let's go ahead and do our routes. And this is the level after the cat. So that'll be config routes. And this one does need that do loop here. And then this one would be resources notes. And if we have one more level, we need to break it up into another do loop outside. So notes will be on the outside. So that's what we'll have for the routes for now. And that's what we'll do here. Okay. So then with that, we are then going to work on the controller. And we are going to follow the pattern and then switch up the pattern a bit to work with parent and child relationships. So then this one will be, just to define this to be a little bit easier, we need to find the parent. So we'll do a before action, set underscore cat on all of them. And then down here, we'll define what that function is. So def set underscore cat. What that is going to be a at cat equals capital C cat dot find params cat ID, like so. So then that will define it all here. And just to do a little bit less work, I'll do my before action of set note here too. So that way it will only be my show, update, and destroy. And that should clean up my code a bit. And what set note is def set note is going to be a variable that is at cat.notes.find params ID. So that should clean up our code here and there. So then here it'll be render JSON at cat.notes. Here, the first line of code is handled with the before action. So then I can go ahead and move on to the next line on the pattern, which is at note, which is this variable right here. The create is going to need me to go ahead and create another one of at note equals to at cat.notes dot create or dot new with the note params. And we'll define that in a sec. So if at note dot saves, then we'll return the at note or render JSON the at note. And then else, we are going to go ahead and render JSON errors. And then at note dot errors. And then we'll give it a status of unprocessable entity. So let's define the note params before we forget. So def set what the note params is, and this will be params.require note.permit the subject, the body, and then the end date and end time. That works. So yeah, that's all we need for the params. And then the first line of the update is already handled, so then we can go ahead and do our conditional. So if at note dot update with the note params, and then it will just be this here. And then at note dot destroy here, because the first line is already handled with our before action, and it would be render JSON errors, and then or not errors, message of at note. Oh, I don't know. I would just say note deleted. Yeah, that works. So here is our controller. So nothing new there. It's just different objects that we are working with. So then what we are going to do now is to work on the seeds file. So that way we can have a little bit of data to work with. And then we'll go ahead and have our providers being filled out too. So then let's go ahead and do note.all.delete all. Sure, let's create 10 notes as well. Set this to a variable of cat equals this. So then here I can go ahead and do, yeah, we'll create one note per cat here. That's fine. We'll do note.create. And it needs to have a subject. And I don't know, I might define that up here. So it'll be subjects. And that would just be a predefined fields of, for cats, it should be health, diet, play, and other, sure. That would be the main subjects here. So then I can use that variable of at subjects and sample from them. So that'll give us this one that will be a random value from there. I also need a body. I'll grab that from Faker. It needs the end date. I'll grab that from Faker, and an end time. Grab that from Faker as well. And then the other most important thing is the cat ID, which is going to be the cat variable that we have above .id. So let me go ahead and go to Faker here and grab some fake data. Let's get some lorem ipsum. Yeah, for our body. So we'll just do a paragraph here. So that will be for the body. And let's do one for the date and then one for the time. So let's see if there is one. So here's one for date. Yeah, that gives us a date object. I think that might work. Yeah, we can do this here for the date. That'll go above a few days there. And let's have one for time. Yeah, that works too. So here is the time here. Yeah. So let me see if this works. If it works, I'll slack it out. If not, I need to make some changes. So let's do a bundle exact Rails DB seed. And that will recreate all my data and users and all that. Looks like that works. So let me go ahead and slack out my seeds file now. And then we'll also run this command afterwards. Okay. So it looks like everything from the back end is all up and running. So let's go ahead and push this up to GitHub. And we'll get started on the front end. Well, we're actually going to do that more tomorrow. And then we'll do our new topic tomorrow at the beginning of the class as well. So then let's go ahead and do a get add. Do a get commit. And then we are going to go ahead and say note back and done. And then it'll be get push origin me. So this one should be relatively more straightforward. And I think the way that we error handle in cats, that would be similar of how we error handle in all the other levels below it as well. So that should be good. So that works here. Let me go ahead and collapse everything. Let's go to client source, and we are going to create our new file, which is going to store all of our provider information. So this one will be your note provider, like so. And we'll just get started on this and knock out each CRUD action one at a time. So then let's just import React as well as use state. I don't think I need a use effect anymore. I will do it within the component. And then we'll need to also import Axios from Axios. And then we'll also import use navigate from React Router DOM. And then let's go ahead and create our initial context. So it'll be note context equals react.create context. And then we'll do note consumer. That's how we get access to the provider. So that'll be note context.consumer. And then for our provider, no provider, go ahead and pass in the children. And then return. And this would be the note dot the note context dot provider. Pass in the children. And then here are the values that the consumer can grab. And this export default note provider. Okay, so we can knock out the first part, hopefully. So this one will be const note and notes and then set notes. That part should be good. And then it will be use state of an empty array. And then we'll have this as a function of get all notes. That will go ahead and I think we need to pass in the parent's ID. So let's try to grab the cat's ID somehow. So with the cat's ID, we can go ahead and see which ID it is that we are grabbing. And then with that, we can go ahead and do our Axios call. And let's double check where that will go to. So let me refresh. Oh, let me restart my server. So then let's do an Axios call. I'm pretty sure it is a GET request. Yeah, let's take a look at my notes. Here it is. To go to my index, it is a GET request. It's /API/cats, cat's ID, and then notes. So it is a GET request. It'll be /API/cats/the cat's ID, and then /notes. The cat ID here. So then I am going to do my promise handling of with the response coming back. I'm going to do a set notes of res.data. And I'm actually going to copy what I have for the cat provider of what I did for this index here of the catch. So that's what we'll have here. And then this will go ahead and require us to create a few things. First one is going to be errors, and then set errors. And initially it would be null. And later on when we use our navigate, we need to have that here from our use navigate function. So that should be good. So then here, let's go ahead and have the ability to grab the notes, the get all notes, the errors, as well as the set errors here. So that should be good there. I don't really have a way to get to that page yet, so we'll just work with that of what we have so far. So here is the note provider. And then to get it up and running in a global scale, we need to go ahead and go into our index, import the provider that we have. This is from provider/note provider. And then to get your providers to work, you need to wrap your whole entire app within the provider. Or else if you don't do this step, it won't know what you're trying to grab and it won't be global. So make sure that you are doing this for every provider that you have. And it should be parent-child within itself so that it will work there, just to be safe. So then that would work. So then what we would need to do is to figure out a way to get to the notes page. And then we'll probably leave off there. So to get to the notes page, looks like if you click on a cat, you can probably get to their notes. Yeah, so I'll probably put it inside of the show actually. So it'll be this one right here. I'll just put one for notes here. I'll actually do that in the design so you can see that a little bit better. Here, this will say notes. Oh, I don't know what No, I don't want a circle. I want to change this text of notes. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, we'll have another button called notes that works. So then inside of here, let's make a path for that to work. So we'll go ahead and import notes from /component. I'll create a folder called notes, and then that will be a file inside of there called notes as well. So then what I need to do is pass in the cat ID. And then this would be notes here. And notes here. Reason why I want to call it cat ID is that I could technically call it ID, but then I don't know if that's the ID of the note or that's the ID of cat. So that's why I want to be a little bit more specific. And I'm calling this one cat ID here. So here is the app.js being set up. And then we'll just create that folder of notes. And inside of there, we'll have a file of notes. And then for now, we'll just go ahead and just display an empty fragment for now. We won't be doing anything else today, I don't think. Yeah, I think this has a lot of modals, so it is going to, yeah, be a curly brace return. And this will be export default notes. And this should also be notes up here as well. So here's the notes.js. And then to get to this page, we need to do one more thing, which is the link. And that is it for tonight. So instead of cats, the cat singular, we'll create a whole nother button here. We'll just create a whole nother link button like this on the bottom of the delete button. I don't need state, but I do need to pass in the ID of the cat. And then this one will go to /notes here. So this one will be notes. So that will go to the child's page of notes for a individual cat. So yeah, it looks like we need to log in. So let's log in with test1 at test.com. Password is password. And let's go to cats. And then let's go to Jasper. Yours might be named differently, but let's just go to a particular cat. And then let's go to notes. And that one has the ID of 52. Awesome. So yeah, that's where we'll pick up tomorrow. And then we'll go ahead and continue on with the CRUD actions tomorrow for notes. But now everything is going to be connected to get from cats to notes here. So yeah, just to wrap up, everything that we did so far is kind of applying everything that we did the last few days of lecture. So we implemented flash messages. We went through all of the CRUD actions for the cat. It's just a little bit different, especially for the controller and the routes. We are doing it a little bit differently. So you can take a look at that later on in your own time to kind of see the differences there. But this is the direct child of the user. So that's why we're doing current user here. And then everything else should be pretty similar. And then also take a look at how we are handling our errors and how we are using the providers. And that's something that we are doing differently as well. But yeah, we'll leave off here. We'll continue this tomorrow. Tomorrow, it would be a new topic. And then after that new topic, we'll go ahead and continue on working on this project here. But if you don't have anything else, I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you.